From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm NewsChannel 5's political analyst, Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. The city of Nashville has been blessed with several entrepreneurial family businesses that have become national leaders in their industry. That includes the Ingram family. In fact, one of their companies is Ingram Content. It's become a $2 billion business in annual revenues over the last 50 years. In his latest book, local journalist and author Keel Hunt has chronicled the rise of Ingram to become the country's largest book wholesaler, the largest print-on-demand company, and the largest independent book distributor in the United States. Keel Hunt's our guest on Inside Politics this week. Keel, thanks so much for coming back on the program.
And it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Now, Keel, your previous books have all been on politics. What got you interested in writing about Ingram and their family business?
Well, Pat, you and I grew up in the news business, and what I eventually learned about myself was what I enjoyed writing about the most was people, why they do what they do, how things work. Sometimes it can be a very technical subject. Certainly politics can be a technical subject. But in business, these are also very important stories, and I enjoy explaining how things work. And so this particular subject came to me when John Ingram, who's the current chairman of Ingram, pretty well known in Nashville, just noted that that company was about to have its 50th birthday. Now, this conversation was back in May of about this time of year in 2018, and he asked me if I would be willing to take on that history subject, and of course I did.
The Ingram Industries, they have a lot of different businesses. This book focuses almost exclusively on the book business, and I found it fascinating myself. Tell us a little bit more about the other parts of Ingram Industries, because a lot of people in Nashville remember growing up seeing the barge industry, the barge company across the river, and people used to stop their businesses downtown to watch the barges being launched. But they do many things.
Right. Right, and for many years, the city fireworks display on the 4th of July would originate from what the Ingram people call their sand yard, which was a sand and gravel distribution business over on the east side of the river, just opposite downtown. And what is now called Ingram Marine Group, the Ingram Barge Company, is really the older business of the two with respect to the book company. Ingram Barge Company had its 50th birthday some years earlier, and they, and they told that story at the time. Now, what began as Ingram Book Company in 1970 was about to have its 50th, but all of these are important employers in Nashville. Ingram has upwards of 4,000 employees. About half that many work in Middle Tennessee.
I think the person that people know most about the Ingram family right now would have been Bronson Ingram, who's deceased now, but who I think is the great-grandson of the founder of the company that began with the timber business up in Wisconsin. Then they got into oil and oil exploration and refining business, did very well, particularly once World War II came along. Bronson grew up as a highly competitive sailor and golfer, and even became close friends with one of the legendary names of golf, and that's Arnold Palmer. Tell us about that relationship. What's that friendship like?
Well, that was a very special friendship that extended over many years. Mr. Palmer was the, godfather of Ingram children. I think of him and his relationship with Mr. Bronson Ingram principally around the Masters. Bronson Ingram was a member of Augusta, and a regular attendee at the Masters, of course. And he and Mr. Palmer would enjoy, each other's companies. They and their spouses were regular, friends in that environment. And so Arnold Palmer became just a longtime friend of the Ingram family.
Bronson Ingram was a very private man. Did he ever beat Arnold Palmer in golf? Did you ever talk about that? Sure, they played against each other.
Well, you ask the best question. That's a very good question. I don't know that he ever beat him. He certainly played. They would, they were together on the golf course a lot. There was one particular regular feature at Augusta for the Masters Week, and the Ingrams and the Palmers would have dinner, and so that's that's a very special memory for everybody in the family.
Let's talk about how the Ingrams got into the book business. Did it really happen because Bronson Ingram wanted to do a favor for a family friend who was retiring from Vanderbilt University?
Yes, sir. Bronson's father, Mr. Hank Ingram Sr., had moved the family businesses from down to Nashville, and in 1928 or so, and he had become, in pretty short order, an important philanthropist in Nashville. Connected in particular with Vanderbilt University and its governance. He was on the board of trust of Vanderbilt, and came to know a fellow named Jack Stambaugh, who was the kind of senior administrator at Vanderbilt for business and finance. And Mr. Ingram Sr. And Mr. Stambaugh became close. And so after Hank Ingram passed away, Bronson Ingram, his son, was invited onto the board trust, of course, and he in turn got to know Mr. Stambaugh. Well, so click along several years later, and Mr. Stambaugh is at the point of retirement himself from the university, and he says to Bronson Ingram, I would like to sort of identify my next thing, and so Bronson helped him to have an office to work out of. And Bronson Ingram said, if you'd like to look around, find something you'd like to invest in, maybe run, I'll go in with you. And so that was something that was a very nice gesture between friends, and that led to the acquisition by Ingram and Stambaugh of a small enterprise called the Tennessee School Book Depository. Now, a lot of states have that to this day. It's a way of combining the buying power of local school districts so they don't all have to have their own relationships, which can be problematic with textbook publishers. And so it was not a big business. It was a reliable, steady business, and all this appealed to Mr. Ingram.
Keel Hunt's our guest on Inside Politics. He's a Nashville author and longtime journalist. We'll continue our conversation about the Ingram family business after this break.